All right. What am I going to tell? What am I going to say? All right, here we go. It is now March 7th, 2022. And we are more than a week, definitely more than a week, a lot more than a week into this war between Russia and Ukraine. Top of mind? Yeah, I think it's on the top of mind of everybody. I wonder though if I'm sure the answer to this is no, is if everybody cares. I'm sure the answer to that is no, not everybody cares. I also wonder if the information that's getting out to everybody is actually the true and honest and open information to everybody. I'm sure that answer is no. It seems like the Russian people are hearing a story. Rumors have it the Russian army is hearing a different story too. They went into this thing with some preconceived notions that were wrong. I can tell you the Ukrainian people are seeing this thing and they know exactly where they stand, on the whole thing. Been some amazing stories that we've heard about people that are unbelievably heroic in what they're doing. Other folks doing what they possibly can to help out. And I would think the vast majority of us is sitting here in absolute disbelief that here we go, that this is what's going on. Why? Why? I mean, really, why? What is the true end game of this whole thing on Putin's part? Couldn't tell you, unless I couldn't tell you. I'd be guessing, and I'm not I have no worldwide expertise in any of this stuff, anything like that. But I just don't get it. I really don't get it. These people of Ukraine are getting clobbered in so many different ways, and they're standing up and they're fighting and they're dying, and some of these folks, man, the heroics, unbelievable. There are these pilots, men and women pilots going out there doing what they possibly can. A couple of really sad stories coming out, about these women losing their lives. They're pilots, these fighters. Incredible, just absolutely incredible. Grandmas, man, you gotta love that video. Grandmas with the guns, learning how to shoot these guns, just sitting there defiant, with the whole thing. Unbelievable. Well, maybe it's actually truly believable. What people will do to defend their own land. It's amazing. The women and the children that are leaving, other folks that are putting strollers at these stations. So when people do get off with their kids, there's strollers there for them to do. A lot of women also dropping their kids off, bringing them over to Poland or Hungary, wherever, then going back to fight. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. People standing in the street saying, no way, no war, go home. Incredible. I don't know. I don't know. I really wonder what I would do. What would you do in that kind of situation? Yeah, I know you know what you do. Yeah, I wonder. I truly wonder, that kind of thing. But those people standing up in the street, totally unarmed, going up against the Russian soldiers, not. And the last thing I want to bring up on that one, is the fact that, so what do we do? Well, what do we do? What did they do? What did the Ukrainians do with some of those Russian soldiers that they captured? They had them call home to their mother. Unbelievable. Had them call home to their mom, say, hey, Ma, can you come pick me up? I'm in Ukraine and I got a problem. Well, they went and did that, didn't they? Do that. That is just unbelievable. And then we get a chance to see all of this stuff in absolute real time. Absolute real time. Just incredible. Absolutely incredible. So what would you do? You have any idea? You really have any idea? Now, most of us have got no experience in wartime or anything like that. For those that have served or are serving in the military, you can answer that question. What would you do if somebody was shooting at you? But even then, you're going into this, you join the military, you're going into an area and stuff like that. It's still different because you're going into that with the understanding of what may or may not happen, stuff like that. Again, I don't have any firsthand experience on it, so I couldn't tell you one way or the other. But to have somebody come and attack your homeland, We got to go all the way back on that one. Got to go all the way back on that one to Pearl Harbor. Shit, even at the time of Pearl Harbor, when the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor, I would bet you say a lot of America had no idea where Pearl Harbor even was. I wonder how many people know where Pearl Harbor is today. But where it was, and it wasn't the continental United States. We got to go all the way back, 1812. Forgetting the Civil War where we attacked ourselves. But that would be one, right? I guess in the South, when the Northern Army came down and attacked their homeland, attacking their homeland. So what would you do? You have any idea? I'd say not. Let's put this into some scenario, perhaps, where you can kind of take a look at those things. Oh, this is what I would have done. Have a friend get into a car accident? Not their fault, right? They're driving too fast, the car slides a little bit, and like, oh, they slid around a corner, hit a tree, hit another car, hit something like that. And they're like, oh yeah, I would have done. Really? Or they see something else happening over there in some situations. Oh yeah, I would have done. No, you don't know. You just don't know. Because what happens then in those situations is instinct takes over. Your own personal experience, your own inner you takes over and does something like that. I don't know. We'd like to think that we would do the right thing, that we would stand up and we'd be as brave as those people are. Would we? I'd like to think the answer to that is yes, but don't really know. I don't really know. So I give them a whole lot of credit for what it is that they're doing. Unbelievable stories. Been following along with some of the with one of the operations where these children in one of the kabads, a Jewish kabad house, where you've got a lot of they're taking care of the kids, stuff like that. They were able to escape their homeland. Terrible, right? They were able to escape, go to another country, flew over to Israel. Such an ordeal with these kids. And these are kids. I mean, these are kids that are old enough to understand, mostly at least, as to what's going on. I can't imagine the long-term impact of it. You want to learn the long-term impact of something like that? Of what it's like to have the homeland kind of attacked like that? You go back and listen to some of these interviews, historical interviews. There was a couple that I've listened to. These were from German kids. Well, they're not kids now, but these are adults now. But they were kids at the time, just German citizens living in Germany, and the war was going on, and how they got affected by it, enveloped by it is probably the word of the thing. A 10-year-old kid got nothing to do with nothing. They just, living their life, coming to the playground one day and sitting in a bomb shelter the next day. Forget about what was deserved, not deserved, all the rest of that stuff. Just leave that aside. And the same thing holds true. I just haven't run across those videos about what it was like to live in London, and that's being bombed, or so many of these other countries, or France, when you had Germans occupying one time and then the Americans came in, afterwards. And what was that all like? How does that impact the kids is really the thing here. Let's just stay with that. How does that impact these kids? 5 years old, maybe younger than that. They're not going to really know. Maybe they remember something from it. Maybe not, hopefully no. But the 5, 10, 15-year-olds, 20, now all of a sudden you're an adult. So that's a different story. But 5, 10, 15-year-old kids, all of a sudden they're being asked to not babysit. A 15-year-old's not being asked to babysit, going over someone's house, watching TV with the younger sibling or something like that. But all of a sudden it's like, oh, can you take little Johnny or little Mary and go to a bomb shelter with them? And mom and dad runs out and tries to get food or something like that. Woo! What would you do? Could you imagine if you were that kid going through all of this stuff? Can't imagine. So why are we doing this? Overall picture here. Why? Why is this even happening in the first place? Well, I hope somebody's in Putin's mind and go and figure that one out and what it is and what he's trying to accomplish and how to get him out of it, how to get everybody out of this whole thing before it escalates even further than where it's at. Because that would be something. Can you imagine the negative side of this thing? And I'm going to end this thing with the positive side of it. We're going to come up with some positive, positive something out of this thing, But what if it goes the other way? NATO is trying so hard to keep this contained, where it's just where it's a Ukraine Russia problem. Because if it goes beyond that, different story. Different story. How does that end? I don't know. It ends. These things always end. This won't go on forever. It will end. What scenario is the ending on that one? What long term impact is the ending? How does it all go? What remains from this that we're going to have to deal with going on? Oh, and I know we're seeing oil prices go higher. Okay. So up to four. Well, last time I checked, that was yesterday. I saw 409, 419, stuff like that. I think oil prices are up again today. So it's perhaps a little bit more so. And I'm in Long Island, on Long Island. On Long Island, Long Island area, stuff like that. I'm sure in Manhattan it's higher. It's always higher. Jersey's probably a little bit lower. California, I'm sure it's higher. I've seen some of these things. Over there with the gas prices. I think someone said something like $7. Don't know. Not really the point. The point of the matter is that we're paying higher gas prices as you drive to the store and you go buy whatever clothes you need and you go buy whatever food you need, or you go to a restaurant or you go get takeout. Oh, higher gas prices. Terrible, terrible. That kind of thing. I'm filling up my oil tank today for the house. I'm sure I'll pay higher oil prices. I'm sure I'm gonna, moan and groan about the fact I got to spend an extra whatever it's gonna come to, on for the oil prices. But you know what? I'm still sitting here shooting a video over here. Okay. Still going to go shopping later on. Okay. Still getting that oil delivered. Still got heat, electricity, all the rest of that stuff. I'm not worried about anything flying through my window over here. Nothing. Nothing. What am I worried about? I'm worried about I still got some leaves to clean up. Oh, now there's a problem for you. Wow. I don't think they're worried about that. So really, I don't see how we could really understand somebody else's situation when we're in that other person's situation. So maybe it's time to really listen to those stories a little bit more, really understand it. Get it from some place that you trust, where you're hearing it, those personal interviews that are going on. Not the reporters' comments about the whole thing, not even my comments about the whole thing. I mean, really, I'm sitting here at home shooting a video, and what do I really know? I do know that there's one person I know that's a couple of folks I know that have got connections with Ukraine or family in Ukraine and stuff like that. Another woman I know has got family in Russia. She's a little surprised about the way the whole thing's kind of going on over here, separating herself from the whole thing. Then there are other people that are not separating themselves from it. Don't know. Companies, very interesting the way companies are interacting with this whole thing, pulling out of Russia, not doing business with Russia anymore, not doing anything like that. What an impact that is, right? I know this whole thing with the oligarchs and things like that. That's happening there, and some of the other economic sanctions that are going through. Don't want to go through each and every one of them, but that are going through that are affecting different people at different levels. But you still get companies pulling out, and what you have regular companies, just regular companies pulling out of Russia, closing down, not doing business over there. I don't see how they, whatever, not doing business over there. All of a sudden, there's people that are there, they're citizens of Russia that are seeing things maybe from a different point of view all of a sudden. And there's been quite a few protests against what Russia is doing in an unbelievable amount of countries, including Russia, that are there. I wonder if there's other stuff that we're not seeing, in support of it. Probably is. But, you're seeing a lot of it. So you're really seeing the whole world come together, or 80% of the world come together, on something like this. And I wonder, what will the overall outcome of this entire thing come to be? Will Russia take over the world? If that's what Putin is looking to do, don't know. Can't imagine. Too many people against him. But these nuclear things, I don't even want to consider that one. But I guess that's always there. That stuff is still there. That would be incredible, wouldn't it? We just blow the whole entire world up. It becomes a nuclear, we get nuclear explosions all over the place. Oh, that would be freaking crazy, wouldn't it? Can't imagine that, but can't imagine a whole lot of things. That wouldn't be good. What else wouldn't be good? It wouldn't be good if all of a sudden everybody was fighting everybody on everything. Sad part is, seems to be what's going on today, is that we're all fighting everybody on everything. Why? Where are we getting with all of this stuff? Oh, all of a sudden it's freer and easier for everybody to talk about how one is more important than another, how this is being treated badly, how we should be doing everything the same, and then letting these people, equal everything across the board. But then everybody's all mad at that whole thing. It's like, really? I said, what about live and let live? Maybe that's a little antiquated. Okay. And a live and let live kind of a thing. But what about the absolute kind of respect for other people? What about that? What about some of these other things? One of the things I've mentioned in the past too is, if you have a candle and you light somebody else's candle, both candles burn brightly. Oh, does this sound kind of corny? But both candles burn brightly, and one's positive impact does not take away. If you give away your positive impact or your light, and you give it to somebody else, it doesn't diminish yours at all. It stays just as strong. I bet you'd say it even stays stronger. And now all of a sudden they are having a positive light, spreading the good stuff. Yeah, there was a few things mentioned in a few of the religious institutions also talk about that whole thing, treat others as you'd like to be treated yourself, all that stuff. Spreading goodwill, doing good deeds, doing mitzvahs, all the rest of that stuff. The more positive light we have in the world, the more it may not lessen the negatives that are out there, but from a percentage standpoint, it does. More light forces out maybe some of that darkness. Maybe it kind of converts a few people. Maybe it does all the rest of that stuff. Is that a little Pollyanna? You know what? I'm sitting here today with watching the news and watching all this stuff. It definitely sounds that way. I don't know if it really is. I really don't know if it is. Maybe this situation that the world is going through, and if you're in Ukraine, it's a whole different situation. It's a day-to-day, hour by hour. I bet you say in some cases, probably a minute by minute. How am I going to get through whatever is going on right now? That kind of thing. And some of those decisions those folks have to make, not easy. Definitely not easy. But a lot of the decisions that we make actually can be pretty darn easy, right? Like seeing somebody on the street and saying hello, waving to them, smiling at them. Hey, we're not wearing masks that much anymore. Smile at somebody? What a thought. Smile at somebody you don't know? Hey, what a thought. You might just be actually, sharing something positive with somebody that's having a bad day, and all of a sudden you turn their light on. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe that person is Russian and you're not. And then you smile at that person who's thinking, oh my gosh, everybody's going to think I did this whole thing. And they did not. I would say there's very few people that are actually instigating this whole thing over there. I wonder if the vast majority of the regular Russian population has any idea about what's transpiring and stuff like that. Because the news, so that one video about the news department just leaving, they just left, just signed off and left. I'm not sure the whole backstory on the whole thing there, but obviously they were none too happy about what was going on, so they just that was it. It's interesting what the news can be delivered, with the internet. I don't know what's being blocked, not what's being blocked, all the rest of that kind of stuff. You can speak to some much smarter people than I am, on that one. But I venture to say there's quite a few people that are having bad days over this whole thing, uh, worrying about what their friends, family going through, even those Russian soldiers, right? Anybody that's a soldier, I mean, it's still, life and death kind of thing. But the Ukrainian citizens, man, that's a whole country. 1.5 million refugees. Perhaps that's a bigger number than what it is. Maybe it's a whole smaller number than what it is, but still, it is a big number. It's a big number. But that also leaves something like 40 million people still in that country, probably wondering a lot about what's going on day to day and where this whole thing's going to go. So what can we do? Well, what if you're going to donate money, food, or clothing, or anything like that? There's another sad comment, but be very careful as to who you're donating to. Make sure that the organization is a true organization. Go through some group that you really, really know who they really are, and that your support is going to really get to them. That even came up in one of these Zoom meetings that I was on, and it's like you just never know. But anyhow, make sure that it really truly is an organization that that is going to get those funds to, or clothing or whatever, to the places that you really wanted to go to. So spend some time researching that and make that one work. That's one thing that can be done. Here's the other thing that can be done. If you know somebody that's got family, friends, anything like that over in Ukraine, give them a call. Just see how they're doing. Just let them know you care. I know there's been a whole lot of posts up on Facebook and some LinkedIn, whatever, on that whole thing, and that kind of thing. It's just, show some support, in that respect to make that work. Let's not forget all those folks over in Poland and Hungary. Man, they have opened their houses. I think somebody, it was Poland. I think it was Poland. Don't quote me on this one, but I think it was Poland. It was one of these Facebook posts that got put up over there. It's like, they took care of there's no refugee crisis in Poland, uh, in Poland or Hungary from the Ukrainians because they all have places to live. It's not like they're sitting in camps or anything like that. They all just were taken into homes and taken care of that way. And that's nice. That is just unbelievable. Yeah, it's unbelievable. I wonder what, right? Here's another. I wonder what. I wonder what we would really truly do. Wonder what we are really truly doing, with this whole issue of illegal immigrants and stuff like that. And yeah, you can make comments all over the place, but something has to be done. Something has to be figured out with that whole thing. Point of view is we've got to figure out why people are leaving. It's pretty darn clear as to why people are leaving Ukraine. Pretty darn clear. When those bombs come raining down, you're on the move. You're either fighting or fleeing. One of the two, that's it. Hunkering down, well, I'm sure there's a number of folks too that are just hunkering down because they just can't go. That's sad. That's just sad. It would be nice to be able to help those people get out. I heard that there's some issues along the way with that one too, about these ceasefires, these humanitarian ceasefires and stuff like that. Terrible. Just absolutely terrible. Terrible how that goes. Yeah. But let's end this thing. We got a couple more minutes to go. Let's end this thing on the what if scenario. Not what if this becomes a nuclear war, not what if everybody loses their rights to enjoy freedom and stuff like that. Let's talk about the what if. What if we all learned something from this whole darn escapade over here, that when we all try to do better, we all do better? Oh, what an incredible thought that is. What if all of this money that's being spent on militaries all around the entire world, remember that economics class you took, guns and butter? If you have $1,000 and you have to buy guns, you can't buy as much butter because you have to buy more guns if we're in if we need to protect ourselves. Well, what if we spent more time buying butter? We spent more of our percentage of everything on the good stuff. What if we spent more of our time on the good stuff, not the bad stuff? What if we spent more time giving a darn about each other, not trying to figure out how bad somebody is or what their history is, and they're trying to change and they're trying to make the changes over there, and we just focus on the negative side of it. What about the positive side of it? What are you doing today that we could be proud of, that somebody could say, good job, good effort? Hey, it didn't work out